Wish I didn't. I wish I wasn't so close to fucking death.
Starting.
And
we're live. Hey guys, welcome back to Talking Time with Caffeine, the only podcast where we drink caffeine.
Except I already drank it before it started, so oh well.
Oh my god, where are they?
Where are the viewers?
I do not know where they are. Where our guests, where our viewers are, but hopefully they'll be here soon. We have two main topics today, but before we start, anybody have any news?
My dad agreed to pay for a new PS1 and Xbox, so if he keeps to his word, then I guess I get to replace him for nothing. Because the PS1 Brandon bought for me as a gift, surprise, surprise, it has a defect. It doesn't display on the screen properly.
That sucks.
Fate doesn't like me right now.
What about you?
Apparently, fucking Nintendo got sued because of the goddamn Joy-Cons or whatever.
What?
Yeah, they got sued because a company that makes accessories for mobile devices had a similar design to the Nintendo Switch, and apparently it's infringing some patent thing, and now Nintendo's being sued for it. And if the company that's suing Nintendo wins, then Nintendo won't be allowed to make any more consoles Switch consoles, actually, not Switch or consoles in general. Well, then again, they might not be able to make any more consoles if they win because, or no, if the opposing company wins, because if Nintendo goes down, then they're pretty much screwed, to be honest.
Nintendo goes down, it's probably going to be a big vacuum. Probably a big power vacuum between PlayStation and Xbox. Wow, that's how could they? Shouldn't they done that like months ago when the Switch came out, not like 6 months later?
What?
Or maybe before. Why did the suing take so long? Shouldn't it have happened months ago instead of 6 months after the Switch came out? Like, or even before it came out. Oh, look, that Joy-Con looks familiar. No, they waited like 6 months.
I don't know. It is kind of weird, though.
Okay.
And if they're making more consoles, that means they'll make game for other systems. Then, like they'll make game for Xbox, or they make games for the PlayStation. Then.
I mean, yeah, they could still make games, but I was just saying that if the Switch goes down, they can't make any more consoles because they probably wouldn't be able to afford it.
Well, it's almost like the Atari crash all over again, but not different.
Not really, actually. It's not even anywhere close to the Atari crash. I mean, yeah, game quality is going a little bit down, but I mean, it's nowhere near Atari's problem.
The problem with Atari is that there was no quality control whatsoever. Like, if a game releases in a buggy state, normally developers are obligated to try and fix it.
Except for Big Rigs Racing.
Yeah, except for Big Rigs, but...
well, actually, they did attempt to fix Big Rigs Racing. They didn't do a great job, but they did fix it somewhat.
Whereas back in the Atari days, the reason why Atari porn games existed was because back then, you didn't even need a publisher. Legit, anybody could make an Atari game and sell it. Like, Atari just had no standards. Like, Nowadays, developers typically have to get permission from the makers of the system in order to be able to make them. Which is why that infamous game Hatred never got released on PlayStation or Xbox, because it got an AO rating, and Sony and Microsoft don't like AO rated games.
Is that adult only?
Yeah, adults only.
Which brings us to our first topic, technology. I have a story. You probably know this from seeing my rant videos, but more in that detail second. My mom is old, and sometimes I'd help her use her iPad and stuff, her phones and stuff. She's very slow. My dad was a faster learner than my mom was. He's gone now, but I taught him some basics in the computer, and he got picked up pretty fast. I taught him how computers work, the internet, sign into and stuff. Mom's a little slower and stuff. I think she has memory problems too, so that might be a problem too. It might be an issue, but overall, I grew up with some technology. I grew up with basic computers in the 80s, floppy disk and stuff, so I think might be a point. Some people, technology just gets past the people and they can't keep up. I think I might be at that point. Maybe not. I'm still learning, but I know I'm having issues with Elgato and OBS and stuff. Sometimes it's stressful, but at least I can still learn some. I have some basic knowledge of technology, like cell phones and stuff, I guess. But yeah, it feels like sometimes I don't know. There's a point where the younger generations surpass the older ones because they grow up with more technology and they can do stuff better than we can. I learned how to use a computer before my parents did, obviously, but my niece and nephew, they had a computer when they were like 1 or 2, and they can. Now the kids are having little iPads and stuff, or leapfrog stuff when they're like 6 months old, and they're learning even faster now. So what do you guys think? Do you think technology is getting advanced and younger kids are surpassing us now?
It's possible. I'll tell you one thing, to collaborate how your parents didn't understand technology too much. I'll tell you one thing, my gram, while she was around, never used a computer. And she always had a flip phone. She never upgraded to an iPhone or anything. And sure enough, my aunt was kind of the same way. She doesn't understand how doing things on a lot of computers works either. And even she had a flip phone for a while before my cousin, her daughter, finally made her upgrade to an iPhone, and that was the most confusing process. She didn't know how to do it. Meanwhile, I would say the younger generations are probably going to be more accustomed to technology than ever, because I'll tell you one thing, there's kids younger than me that understand things like social media and all that crap more than I do. I've never used Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat. The only social media profile that I've ever used, well, besides YouTube, is Instagram. And guess what? It's not even my own profile. It's a profile for my dog that my sister created.
Yeah, I only use social media, really, to advertise my videos. Twitter, my YouTube, my Twitter, my Facebook, basically just to share my videos. So I don't really have. Yeah, the way I
see it, I just do not understand social media culture, and I refuse to get involved. And based on the horror stories I've heard, perhaps it's for the best.
Oh, and Skype, obviously, we all have Skype because we're not.
Well, Skype is not really social media; it's a video chatting service.
Well, about you, Mario, how's your older people technology, your young people technology life going?
How's my old people technology going? Like the old electronics?
Are your parents that know stuff, or they caught up, or your
I
grandparents?
swear to God, my mom acts like she knows a lot about her phone, yet sometimes she'll come up to me and, well, not sometimes, but I've had moments where she'll come up to me and ask me, where are the settings? I'm just like, are you kidding me? And I see her teaching my dad this and that, and I'm just like, oh my God. And what's worse is that sometimes she'll come up in my room and she'll show me this like weird message that came from her browser, and I'm just there thinking, what the fuck did you do to get that message? I mean, seriously, it'll say something like, oh, your router has been hacked, even though it's not, and this and that. It's fucking ridiculous. Like, I seriously don't understand how she's even getting those messages, because I thought she would be able to... I mean, if my mom is so confident in her ability to use a smartphone, I thought she would be able to know not to just click on advertisements, you know? Like... I seriously don't understand. And her story is like, oh, well, it came up out of nowhere. And I just don't understand what the hell is wrong with her phone, to be quite honest.
Yeah. Sometimes we all have dumb moments, like me last night. After we got off Skype and I checked my folders, apparently, I thought my voice had been recording this whole time, but apparently it had been. Just sent the files to someplace else on my computer, and I finally found them. Both my video was fine because that wasn't an issue in the first place. My game recording was never an issue. It was my voice recording, but it was there too, and the sound capture worked fine. I just I guess I just overreacted. You know, just wasn't thinking clearly. But yeah, like I guess that other thing happens when you get old, like I am now. You don't think clearly about technology.
Well,
but like I said, what about what about the other? Okay, I can't talk. What about the other side of the spectrum? You think you know anybody younger than you that's better than you are?
no.
Like I just said,
I don't know anybody.
there's kids who understand a lot. Like I just said, there's kids who understand a lot more about ways things are built, things that are the things on the internet that trend.
Yeah, like
But
some people get their kids iPhones, like 5 now, I think, or maybe younger.
and yeah, that's kind of wrong because kids should not get those kinds of things at that young.
Yeah, there's no fucking way in hell that's gonna fly with me when I get a kid, if I do get a kid.
I didn't get a cell phone. My first cell phone that I bought until I was 23. I didn't get my first smartphone until I was 31.
Oh my God! No!
I know somebody that his first smartphone his first phone was a smartphone, and he got it pretty fucking recently. Like, this year, I think. His first phone he got was this year. Crazy, right?
Yeah.
The first phone I got was in freshman year of high school, and guess what? It wasn't even a smartphone. It was a flip phone.
My first one wasn't even a flip phone. It was like a kind of like a block type thing.
My first phone was a flip phone I got in elementary.
I was at my bus downtown at the bus station waiting for the bus. And I said, Cricket store. I'm like, okay, a phone. I got a phone.
And how did that work out?
I kept it for a year and got rid of it because the service sucked. I couldn't go outside the city with it. Cricket sucked back then. And I switched to Verizon a year later, which I kept until about 3 years ago when I ditched Verizon for Straight Talk. I can't keep up with the bills anymore. I got a phone from Walmart, iPhone for $100, 5S, and it uses cards, about $50 a month. Yeah. So I don't know. Is that all we had? You have any other technology stories, or should we go on to the next topic?
Well, there was one time when I was a kid that I had my 2DS. What the fuck? No. I had my DS Lite in hand, and I was trying to reach for something. I don't know what it was, but I was reaching for something, and it happened to be over my dog's water bowl. And of course, I drop it in the water bowl, and it lands right inside. So, we try doing the methods to get as much water out as possible, and surprisingly, it actually fucking worked. For a while, there was a little water area that you can see when you turn on the screen, but eventually it just went away. And ever since then, I never had problems with it. Though I can't really use it right now because I lost the original charger, and all I have left to charge it is a car charger version. So I just don't feel like charging it using the car charger. So I'm just like, fuck it.
Don't they make like replacements, or that are they out of date now?
The DS Lite and the original DS charger is different from
the DS. I mean, the DSi onwards uses the same charger as the 3DS.
It's different from the DSi charger. The DSi charger actually is compatible with 3DS chargers, and well, ever since the DSi, they've been using the same exact charger, but the DS Lite and the original DS Lite used a different charger. So,
and what's funny is that apparently the new 3DS doesn't come with a charger.
No, but it comes with a 4 GB SD card, I think. Oh, and it's only mini. Oh, and you also have to unscrew the back just to get to it, too. So if you strip those screws, you're fucked.
I guess it's also like the pre-iPhone 4, iPhone 4 and before, and iPhone 5 and after, where the iPhone 4 and other Apple products had that big charger port thing. The new ones have this little tiny one.
Yeah, except the difference there is that they kept that same charger for a long time. Meanwhile, Nintendo, like a DS, and then, oh, 3DS, or no, DSi, oh, gotta change the charger, and then they just kept it from there.
Yeah, didn't the DS and the DS Lite have the same charger as the Game Boy Advance? Or did it not?
I can't tell you because I never had experience with the GBA.
I did, unfortunately. My dad gave it away. Remember that story?
Yeah. Yeah. But my mom she got one of those old one of the technology you know how to use is the old iPad had the big chargers, and I was gonna get her extension charger. I was gonna get her like an extension cord for her thing, like a longer cord, like because the new iPhone's cords, you know, that they can get like up to 9 feet or longer and stuff. But unfortunately, they don't make it anymore. The older versions don't. The older versions don't come that long. And so I was wondering if I went to the Apple Store a few weeks ago to see if they could get a converter for it. You know, so you get a 60-cord converter, but unfortunately, you can get an old converter converted to a new thing to plug your phone in, but there's none reversing. There's none that reverses it. Can't get an old one to a new one. You can only get a new one to an old one.
That sounds weird.
I know. So yeah, so now you see, it's supposed to charge your iPad. You have to be like 2 feet to stay at 2 feet away from any outlet. This is the kind of problem if he's in a wheelchair. So.
Jeez. Another situation I'm dealing with is my 2DS. Well, okay. A few years ago, I bought Brandon's 2DS. I think it was around $10 to $15 because, well, I don't know what his thinking was when he priced it the way he did. Maybe it was because he figured, well, if I charge too high, then no one's gonna buy it, so fuck it, $10 to $15. And
2DS, that's the one that doesn't close, right?
yeah. Though don't get it confused with the new 2DS, because the new 2DS actually has a fucking hinge. But anyways, so I got the 2DS, and I think another factor why he charged it $10 to $15 for it was because the SD card reader was gone. The parts for the SD card reader was just out of the fucking DS entirely. So all you saw when you looked in the SD card slot would be fucking just plastic, and that's it. And don't even try putting an SD card in there, because you might get it stuck in there. Other than that, the system actually works quite fine. There doesn't appear to be anything else wrong with it. And I mainly bought it because, well, why not? I mean, if I'm going to be able to get a 2DS for $10 to $15 and the only problem is an SD card slot, then why the fuck not? I might be able to actually even repair it after so many years, because I've seen an SD card reader part for a 2DS or 3DS, so I'm thinking if I can get that, then all I have to do is just somehow install it into the 2DS, and there we go. It should be able to read SD cards again. And so that's what I'm planning to do at some point, maybe, hopefully. And I think it was like around $10 for the part too, so there you go. But yeah, I'm actually pretty lucky to have the 2DS for such a low price despite the SD card problem. I mean, that's a fucking bargain deal. Better bargain deal than Nintendo's.
I wonder how much you get for selling your old systems at that place that you got your game, you sold your games at.
I don't know. Oh, you mean Fallout games?
Yeah, we got the $20 for 10 games.
Oh yeah. I don't think they would even accept it because of the SD card slot. Literally, they looked at a couple discs that would work, and they're like, I'll pass. Doesn't even test the disc at all. And yeah, if they're gonna do that shit, then I guarantee you they're gonna say, no, we're not taking this because no SD card slot, bitch. Even though a lot of the games that you can get work anyways. Excluding, like, the one game I know of that doesn't work without an SD card would be Smash 4. I don't know if there's any other games that do that too. But the main problem, though, is that if you get a 3DS or 2DS and there's no SD card reader, then literally your only option is to basically play games physically, because getting things digitally, good luck, because I mean, all you have to work with is the internal storage, and once that runs out, no luck after that.
Speaking of games, do you guys prefer getting physical copies or downloading digital ones?
It depends.
I kind of prefer physical, but at the same time, if it's not a game I have attachment to, then I don't really care.
Okay, so for me to elaborate, if I'm gonna get it digitally, I'm only going to get it if I absolutely know that I'm going to like the game, because of the simple fact that you can't really get your money back.
Personally, I don't care about getting my money back. The only way I would, because typically I research games thoroughly before I buy them, and I typically only buy games that are on sale. So, and don't forget, my logic with my YouTube channel is that if the game's good, then good. I can play it again another day, just casually, like how oh my god, stuttering. Like how I'm playing Time Splitters 2. Amazing game. But if the game's bad, then at least I know it'll lead to a good video series. Looking at Shrek.
Yeah, but then again, there could be some instances for people where they'll get a game and they would think that they would like it, but then it turns out that they don't like it. If they get it digitally, then you're out of luck. If you get it physically, then at least you can do something about it. You know?
Okay.
Yeah, I bought the CDs, or no, not really CDs. I bought the physical disc for Kingdom Hearts, but I downloaded FF7 on my PS4. Because then again, I don't think there is a physical. Is there physical copies of? I think there is a physical copy of FF7 for PS4.
I don't think there is. No.
So I guess that's a point. In older games, you can't really get physical copies unless you have an older system that plays them on.
And actually, I just remembered a thing that happened fucking yesterday. I don't know why I didn't even... I don't even know why I didn't mention this already, but... the other day I had a friend over and we were playing some Brawl on the original Wii. And I gave him a controller or two, and the controllers that he used were the Classic Controller Pro and the official GameCube controller I have. I have two different GameCube controllers, but one of them is third party. So I think I gave him the Classic Controller Pro first, and he was testing it out, and eventually he realizes that the B button wasn't working exactly well, because there would be moments where he would try to hold B and the attack wouldn't charge, it would just be used instead, and other times it would charge, so it's kind of spotty. And then when I tried giving the first party GameCube controller a whirl, the problem with that was the C-stick was making an input on the screen, because on the menu, for some reason, it would make the screen turn right slowly, and therefore I guess it's broken to an extent. So, yesterday I tried to get into my GameCube, or my first party GameCube controller, and I couldn't, because I noticed that there was a three-headed screw in all the slots, except for one where there was a Phillips head screw on one of them for some reason. But yeah, I couldn't get into it because of that, so I'm like, oh, what the fuck? So then I tried getting into the Classic Controller Pro controller, and apparently they use the same fucking screws too. And what I didn't even know was that a lot of the controllers that Nintendo makes, they have those kinds of screws, just so then you can't easily get into it if you don't have the correct screwdriver. So I went looking all over the house to try and find a screwdriver that could fit that, and of course I couldn't find it. So I went as far as going to a nearby hardware store, which I had to walk all the way there in fucking heat, and it turns out that I couldn't find a screwdriver, but I could find a bit, except it only came in a package with a bunch of other bits that I don't even need, and on top of that, it costed $12 fucking dollars. So I said, no, I'm just gonna pass on this, and mainly because I had $8, and I mean, I didn't want to buy all those bits for $12 and have like one used. That didn't make any sense to me, so I walked home and I decided, you know what, fuck this. I'm just gonna see if I can get into my third-party controller and just fuck with that instead, even though there was nothing wrong with it. And I could, because all the screws were Phillips heads since third-party, and I could get into them, and it was interesting. The third-party controller I have is really similar in design with the technology, but there's, well, I don't know about slight difference. I don't know. Though it was a bitch to get back together because there was a cord that was constantly in the way, and at first I didn't know why I couldn't get the shell back together, but then I noticed, oh, it's these fucking cords that were blocking it, and then I got it finally. Oh yeah, and also there's like a small difference actually on the inside, I just remembered, with the cord that comes out from the top. Apparently the loop is really odd. There's not the tie for the cord like the official GameCube controllers have. So yeah, I think I made my A button a lot less clicky, but oh well.
You walk? I thought you were doing the bus experiments, riding the bus now.
Well, first off, if I rode a bus, I would have to walk a 30-minute walk. It's all the way to a fucking a goddamn grocery store. That's what I was thinking of. And second, the hardware store I was going to didn't even need to be. No, it didn't require me to use a bus because it was in walking distance. Oh, okay. Actually, and speaking of which, I just remembered another thing. On the way over to that hardware store within walking distance, I actually found a fucking sign. You know that debacle that I had a couple years ago with me and Brandon? We recorded a freaking podcast. No, we recorded a vlog, and my video was titled "The Trip to Come and Go," and it was spelled K-U-M and go, right? Mm-hmm. Well, turns out that there's actually a local store that is also come and go, except it's actually spelled C-O-M-E, and then the rest is how it is. So, apparently, Arizona has it done right with come and go, where it's the actual word come, not K-U-M.
That's good.
I couldn't fucking believe I even saw that.
Alright. And with that, I think our technology issue has come to a close. What this brings us to what technology can give us, like movies.
Yeah.
Yes, I wanted to talk about basically experiences going to the movies, like going into the movie theater.
Okay.
Because everyone claims they have horror stories of how people wouldn't stop talking or stuff like that.
I have one just like that, actually.
Yeah, well...
Okay.
What?
Anyways, before you go on, in my area, there were only two movie theaters really close to my area. One where they show new movies, a little more expensive stuff on certain days, and like, because they have all the new seats and stuff, recliners and stuff, and the stuff. The other movie theater is a lot cheaper. But they only show movies that are about to go on DVD, like that are a few months old and stuff. Their seats are much older and stuff, much older theater, but it's like $5 cheaper than the new movie theater.
Well, where I am, there's 5 theaters I could potentially visit. 3 are in my town. The other 2 are IMAX theaters that are about a 10-20 minute drive away, maybe probably more like 10-15 minutes.
I've never been to an IMAX theater. What's the difference?
Basically, IMAX theater is like on a fucking giant screen and like displays in a much higher resolution.
Is it worth them? Is it like more expensive? Is it worth the money, you think, or not worth the money?
It is more expensive, but if you want like a high resolution experience, high definition, then yeah, I'd say it's worth it. But I haven't gone to the IMAX theater In quite a few years, actually. I think Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides was the last movie I saw in an IMAX theater. No. Yes, it was. Because I was thinking Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows until I remembered it was Part 1, which came out in 2010. But yeah, typically when I go to the theater, there are two theaters that are right downtown. One of them is connected to a mall, whereas the other one is its own building. They're both owned by the same company. The tickets can be a little expensive, not too expensive, I think, but I've noticed inflation's kicked in, and now tickets are like $1 more than what they used to be a couple of years ago. But the thing about the theater, though, is that if you were to get a large popcorn and a large soda combo, they usually give you like a free candy, which is like their sponsored candy of the month or something. Also, if you get a large anything, they give you one free refill. So anytime I go to the theater, I always get the large drink because I'll drink the large drink during the movie, and then when it's time for me to go home, I'll just refill it and then drink it on my walk back.
Smart.
Yeah.
But can you drink a whole drink in one movie setting?
Yeah, it depends on. I think it depends on how much the movie grips me. Like, if I'm intrigued in the story, I might drink less. But if it's not really pulling me in, then I might take more sips.
Sorry to interrupt.
I don't know. Like, I've noticed sometimes the drink will survive the entirety of the movie. Other times, I'll finish it about halfway through, and then I leave the theater to go refill it.
Sorry to interrupt real quick, but my caffeine meter has been refilled.
Oh my god. But yeah, normally unless I have my dad or friends with me, I normally don't get the large popcorn. I usually get the medium at best if I didn't have lunch that day. But yeah, I always get the large drink. And those are two theaters that are owned by the same company, so it's the same perks. I know that on Tuesdays, they have a special where you can get tickets for dirt cheap. Like, I think they're $6. Speaking of which, I might want to try a go movie next Tuesday, but I don't know about it. But let's see. So I wanted to talk about, well, actually, I forgot the third theater. The third theater is independently owned. It only shows 2 movies at a time, but they can be recent. They're usually the biggest ones. Their ticket prices are cheaper, but here's a catch. If you get a large popcorn and large soda, no refill.
Oh, what? That's stupid.
I know. Last year, me and my dad decided we were going to go to the theater instead to go see Jason Bourne since we saw the tickets were cheaper. And, yeah, the tickets were like $2 cheaper than the big theaters. But when I went to go I asked if there were refills on the drink. They said no.
That's really retarded.
Yeah. Not to mention the large popcorn wasn't very large. It was more like the medium size that you would get at the big theater.
I remember the last thing you talked about the movies was during that water incident.
Water incident?
Where somebody tried to give you water instead of pop.
Yeah, the water incident where I asked for a large soda and they tried to give me a water bottle instead.
Because everyone else was had water that day.
Yeah, when I looked in the theater, like I saw maybe one person with an icy, but everyone else had a bottle of water. And I don't get that. Like, to me, water is something you drink when you're working out, not something that you just casually have.
I've casually had water every now and then.
To me, it's not a regular thing. I'm not saying I prefer soda. I actually prefer iced tea. But, yeah, so those are all my theaters, and what I wanted to talk about today was interesting experiences in movie theaters. It doesn't necessarily have to be a bad one, because I'll just spoil one thing now. Everyone rants about how when they go to the movies, they have to deal with unruly people who always talk, message on their phones, or cause a ruckus. If you can believe it, I've almost never had an experience like that.
Wow.
Ever. And I live close to the Big Apple. You would think in a populated area like that, you would get scumbags like that.
Jesus Christ.
But anyways, one little hobby I've had on the side is documenting everything, every single movie I've seen in theaters.
Every single. Like a journal or something of movies.
Yeah, it's like a little journal that I have in a notepad document. In fact, I have it up right now. And I actually jotted down some notes about me going to see all these movies. And I wanted to share a couple of these stories.
Can you screen share it, or can you set it
I
up?
can screen share it, but I don't know if it should be a subject on... I don't know if we should have our viewers look at it.
Oh, okay.
Let's see. I'll just give a few notes here. Maybe I'll screen share it for you if you want, but...
No, that's meant to Mario can set it up.
Yeah, I don't know if Mario should take the time to set it up, so I'll just read off of it.
Yeah, don't
so
screen share it,
anyways, you can tell your stories afterward, and hell, if anybody's watching, then maybe you can tell your stories there. But this is just some miscellaneous stuff I noticed. So anyways, the first movie I ever saw in the theater, Mario, I know you're not going to believe me, but it was Shrek.
Which one?
The first one.
In the theater?
In the theater. I remember it. I was vacationing in Florida, and I was like 5 years old at the time. And my gram, alongside a friend of hers, decided to take us to the theater. And if I remember, and I know it was Shrek. I do faintly remember the opening scenes playing on the screen. And, actually, come to think of it, I do remember a bit more of the screen now that I think about it. I remember the plot twist of Fiona being revealed as an ogre. And the whole dragon escape scene, stuff like that.
Wait,
But,
wasn't
yeah.
in 3D?
No, 3D screenings weren't a thing back then.
What? When was this?
2001. You were an infant at the time.
Actually, I was 1.
Infant.
1.
Toddler at best. But let's see. Yeah, that was my first ever movie. The only movie I can verify that I saw in 2001 was Monsters, Inc. I keep thinking it's possible that I saw Atlantis, The Lost Empire, that infamous Disney movie that was considered more adult when it really wasn't. And some stupid kids movie called Max Keeble's Big Move, which is notably an early role for Josh Peck. But at the same time, I can't verify I actually saw those in theaters because, truth is, the only memory I have of seeing them was on VHS. So, then we get to 2002. Now here's the thing, 2002, I take the Rotten Tomatoes scores of every movie I see and I put them together into an average score. Here's the thing, 2002 was the only, well, aside from 2001, it was the only year where the average came out with a fresh rating at 62.
Oh, speaking of that, sorry, let's bring it up to you. Speaking of that, usually, is your score higher or lower than Rotten Tomatoes scores? Do you agree with them a lot, or do you have...
I mean, it depends. Like, here's the thing. I will admit I am infinitely more forgiving on games, certain games and movies than, most. But the thing is, most of what I saw was stupid kids movies when I was a kid, so I generally agree with the Rotten Tomatoes scores on a lot of them. But yeah, 2002 was the only year of the 2000s, besides 2001, where the average came out as a fresh with 62. Things get worse and worse as we go on, but let me see what some of the highlights of 2002 were. Well, I saw the first Ice Age. I saw one of DreamWorks' only 2D movies, Spirit, the one with the horse. I saw the live-action Scooby-Doo. I was one of the only people who saw the Powerpuff Girls movie. And there's only 2 movies this year, which will be the last year where this happens, where there's 2 movies where I thought I saw it in theaters, but I can't verify it. They are Spy Kids 2 and the Santa Claus 2. And I have to say, these are much more likely, especially Santa Claus 2, but like I said, I can't verify for sure.
I think the first movie I remember watching was Gremlins, the theater.
In the theater, yeah.
And that freaked me out at the time. I was 4, and it freaked me out.
Well, don't forget, that was one of the movies that led to the creation of PG-13.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't think my brother and his fiance took me to the theater to see it. I was like 4 or 5 at the time. So maybe that's the reason that they did that. Your Gremlins freaked me out.
Yes. Yeah.
Other than that, what I remember seeing, I think, was going to be The Rescuers Down Under.
That's interesting. Meanwhile, you know one thing that's funny? Many kids that were in high school with me reported the first Harry Potter movie they saw in theaters was Prisoner of Azkaban. For me, I actually saw Chamber of Secrets first. As for Prisoner of Azkaban, well, we'll get to that once I get to the year 2004. But, yeah, I do remember Chamber of Secrets. Literally, when I had dinner the night right after seeing the movie, I lost my first tooth.
Probably said tooth back then.
Wait, you lost your tooth during the movie in the theater?
After the movie, when I was eating dinner.
Oh.
So anyways, here are some notes I have right now. So, there was one movie based on the VeggieTales series.
Is that the
the one.
Jonah one?
It's the Jonah one. Here's something curious. To date, it's the only movie I've ever walked out on.
Oh, wow.
And the truth is, I enjoyed the movie when I was a kid. I don't know what I could say about it today, but I was enjoying it. All I remember is that my dad said, "Come on, it's time to go." And I could have sworn my sister also said, "I want to go, I want to go." And then they walked out. I actually chased them up the aisle saying, "No, no, 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 no," like Mike from Monsters, Inc.
How old were you at the time?
I was 6.
Do you know why they left early, or?
I do not, to this day, I do not know why we walked out on it. And the thing is, I couldn't even ask them about it because they probably don't even remember.
So did you ever finish watching it later on?
Yeah, eventually I caught a TV airing and saw the ending, like maybe about a year later.
Holy crap.
Then in addition, the last movie I saw in 2002 was a live-action Italian version of Pinocchio.
Italian version?
Yeah, it was made in Italy, and its original language is Italian. Notably, it's probably the only movie I've seen in theaters have a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes, simply due to the fact that for the US release, they dubbed it in English, except the dub was incredibly bad. There are literally scenes where characters speak over lines where their mouths aren't moving, and the overall quality of the voice acting in the dub is pretty bad.
Wow.
And for that reason, I could have sworn my dad threatened to walk out of that movie too, but somehow we convinced him to stay. Shame. Notably, a standard practice, anytime I saw a movie in theaters, was to get it on VHS. Pinocchio was the first one where I didn't.
Like movies you saw, or?
Movies I saw in theaters, yeah, it was standard practice for us to get them on VHS as soon as they came out.
Huh.
The ones I saw in theaters, anyway. But then we get to 2003. 2003 was not exactly a good year. I saw good movies like Elf and what else? Finding Nemo.
Ooh.
But truth is, when they re-released Finding Nemo in 3D, I was almost considering going to see it, just so I could say, hey, just so I could go up to the ticket booth operator and say, hey, I saw this when I was a kid, but we didn't go. Then some of the downsides of 2003 were the live-action Cat in the Hat, Spy Kids 3, and Jungle Book 2. And there's only one note I have for 2003. Daddy Daycare was the first movie I walked into late.
Jeez.
Yeah, Daddy Daycare was another low point, by the way, but I was only 7, so I guess you can cut me... I don't even know if I was 7. I might have still been 6. But...
Wait, you can buy a ticket while the movie is currently playing?
Yeah.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, we did. So we did that. And, yeah, we walked into the movie. Like, once we eventually got the movie on DVD, I recognized that we walked in about 20 minutes into the movie.
Usually, sometimes I get to the theater sometimes 5-10 minutes late on purpose, because usually the first 10-15 minutes are all trailers or commercials.
Yeah, it's yeah, the first 10-15 minutes are like the previews, so yeah.
Sorry to interrupt real quick, but if both of you said something at the same time and none of you say Jinx, then if I were to say Jinx, does that mean that you both owe me a soda?
Sir, we'll mail it to you.
Sure.
Explodes.
But anyways, we get to the year 2004. The highlights include the original SpongeBob movie, The Incredibles, and The Polar Express. Oh, and Shrek 2, obviously. But then I also saw the live-action Scooby-Doo 2. I saw the movie Teacher's Pet, which was probably one of the biggest box office bombs for Disney to date. And I also saw the live-action Garfield movie, and probably the most embarrassing movie, I have to say, that I saw in theaters was Baby Geniuses 2. I saw that shit in theaters. But truth is, while I enjoyed stupid kids movies, Baby Geniuses 2 was one movie that actually crossed the line. And there's one specific reason for that. The advertisements lied. The reason I went to go see it was because they advertised how the babies were going to become superheroes. They were going to fight an evil villain. They were going to do all this, that, and the other thing. They don't become superheroes until like the last 10 minutes of the movie. Most of what you see for most of the movie is them wandering around doing shit. And yeah, so there's that. And then here's a really weird story. When I went to go see Shrek 2, it was during Memorial Day weekend. And for some reason, my theater had sold out signs pasted all over the walls for Shrek 2. But you know what's strange? We got our tickets anyway and we went in. Even though they were clearly posted that day. And then we get to one way my cousin fucked things up for me. So remember how I said many of the kids I knew in high school claimed that Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban was their first Harry Potter movie they saw in theaters, but for me it was Chamber of Secrets? Well, unfortunately, I didn't really have a high ground on the number of Harry Potter movies I saw in theaters, because I did not see Prisoner of Azkaban in theaters. And you want to know why?
Why?
Originally, we were going to see it. But we were in the car driving to a dancing show my sister was a part of. And my cousin was in the car. She had just come to visit us, because normally she came to visit us for the summer. And here's the thing, around the time she came to visit us, she had just gotten into a mood where she was always negative about everything. She acted miserable at points for no real reason other than to do it. Like, it's like a very sarcastic behavior she had. And here's the thing. My dad, I brought up to my dad that I wanted to go see Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban that weekend. He's like, yeah, I'm going to take him to see it. To my cousin. And you know what my cousin tells him? Oh, yeah, I went to go see it. Don't take him to see it. It sucks.
Oh, jeez.
And if you could believe it, my dad's like, oh, okay, you hear that, Nick? We're not going to go see it.
What the hell?
And I should have argued with him on that point, but yeah, I didn't. And it took me nearly 2 years before I finally got to see Prisoner of Azkaban. I had seen Goblet of Fire before I got to see Prisoner of Azkaban. Actually, almost 2 years, yeah. So, there we go. Then we get to 2005. Two other embarrassments are Racing Stripes, where you literally see a talking zebra go in a horse race. And then Shark Boy and Lava Girl I also saw in theaters. But then we have a few... Oh, Chicken Little I also saw in theaters. That movie can go fuck itself. Then some high points include the first Chronicles of Narnia movie, as well as Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Then let's see. Here's another story that involves my cousin fucking something up.
Is this your cousin before that took your PlayStation or Xbox or something like that?
Is this my cousin before my dad took my PlayStation? What?
No. I remember one time you told a story about your cousin who wouldn't let you borrow his PlayStation or something like that, or...
Well, my cousin wouldn't let me have her Nintendo 64. This is the same one. Yeah. So here's what happened. It was towards the end of 3rd grade. Because we had nothing better to do, we decided to watch the Hey Arnold movie in class. And here's the thing. We started about halfway through, and I didn't get to see the ending. Oh. Lucky for me, Nickelodeon was doing a whole weekend of screenings. I don't remember why I missed the Friday screening, but I missed the Saturday screening because we went to a theme park. So, I was going to watch the Sunday screening until my sister realized we hadn't seen Shark Boy and Lava Girl in theaters. Then my dad got a neat idea. He would just simply tape the movie off TV using a VHS tape. So he set up the VCR, and he hit record, and I went around telling everyone not to use the TV in my dad's bedroom. I told my ma, I told my gram, even though she would never use the TV upstairs. And I told my cousin, and she basically was like, yeah, whatever. So we watched Shark Boy and Lava Girl in theaters. We come back, we go upstairs to check on the recording, because by that point the movie was almost over, but we went to go check on the recording. It was on a sports channel.
Oh.
My cousin changed the channel.
You're like, I told you not to use it.
Yeah, I told her just that. I remember my sister broke down crying. And, of course my cousin, being my cousin, denied all responsibility, claiming we never told her, when in fact we did. And, as typical, she got away with it. Because, truth is, she got away with a lot of shit.
Yeah. Off topic, it's weird to think. It's weird to think that Shark Boy grew up to be a werewolf.
Exactly. Then the thing about me going to the movies is that the typical group that would always go was me, my dad, and my sister. Sometimes our mom would come with us to like comedies like Elf, and sometimes my gran would take me and my sister out instead. Like if we were just sitting around the house, my mom and dad were out vacationing or working, and we had nothing better to do. But here's something that happened in 2005. When I was visiting my friend Jason's house, my sister, without my knowledge, went with Jason's sister to go see Madagascar. And because of that, our original trio had to separate when only my dad had to take me to Madagascar the next day. Then we get to 2006, which until last year was the year where I saw the most movies in a single year. I told this story to Mario already, but, well, first of all, 2006, some of the highlights were, let's see, Talladega Nights was a highlight. And not that many highlights, to be honest. Well, Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Man's Chest was another one, but... So, I got a couple of notes for 2006. I told Mario this story before. The one movie I wanted to go see was this really, really crappy animated movie called Dougal, which was an American dub of a British animated movie that was bastardized by the American dubbing.
Thank Dougal for that one.
It only played in theaters for 2 weeks. The first week, I went to go see the Pink Panther remake with my gram, my sister, my aunt, and a few of my sister's friends down in Florida. When I got back home the next week, my mom wanted to see Pink Panther because she was a big Steve Martin fan. And because of me going to see Pink Panther the second time, I was spared from fucking Google, which is good. Then let's see. Then we have a pretty interesting story where my dad defied me. So, one movie I wanted to see in theaters was a movie called How to Eat Fried Worms, which I wanted to see in theaters because I had read the book in 2nd grade.
Oh, that's why it sounds familiar.
Yeah, yeah. I never read that book, but I read the sequel, How to Eat Ice Cream, or something like that. I forget what it was called. There's a sequel to it about ice cream, I think.
Yeah, but they made a movie adaptation. I wanted to see it, but now here's what happened. My sister noticed that Talladega Nights was playing, and since she loved Will Ferrell, she wanted to see that. So my dad eventually was like, "Please, can we just go see this instead?" And I kept telling him, "No, no, 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 no." But he didn't listen, and he bought the Talladega Nights ticket anyway. But then, as we were walking to the theater to see Talladega Nights, he noticed the How to Eat Fried Worms screening was right across the hall. So, after contemplating for a second, he took me, put me in the theater, sat me in the back corner, and he's like, "Finish the movie and then come into our theater." So yeah, I got to see 2 movies in one day.
Wow. So
Too bad.
The other one?
Yeah, like first I saw How to Eat Fried Worms. It was the last 2/3 because it was a screening in progress. But after I finished it, I had to go into the Talladega Nights theater and sit through that movie with them. So I only got to see the last 2/3 of both movies, but yeah, I did it.
Wow.
And then, Vandalia, you're gonna like this. KH got involved with this screening.
What?
KH1 got involved with this screening. So there was a Christmas movie I had to see called Unaccompanied Minors. I don't remember it that well, so don't ask. But, I had just finished KH1 when my dad announced we were going to see the movie. And because I couldn't skip the credits, I almost made everyone late. Like, literally, I was watching the scene where Sora and Kairi separate as my dad calls for me.
Oh.
Yeah. So then we get to 2007. A few highlights include The Simpsons movie, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, Ratatouille, and a few others. And then, let's see, for 2007, I went to go see Bridge to Terabithia, that movie the Nostalgia Critic reviewed. And here's an interesting story. After the screening, I actually got punished.
For what?
Because of the inappropriate way I described the death scene of the girl.
Wow.
You know how I did it?
How?
I imitated the peddlers from Aladdin.
Oh no.
No, seriously, I was like, something along the lines of this. Oh, look, we got this fancy little rope. It does not break. It broke. And that's how she dies in the movie. She swung on a rope, and the rope broke, and she fell into a creek to her death.
Which movie is this again?
To Terabithia.
Oh.
And
Yeah.
that was inappropriate?
Yeah, because I basically took a comedic scene and used it to describe the death of a character.
I think the first movie I ever saw death of a character in it was My Girl.
Oh, My Girl, yeah, Macaulay Culkin. Kevin from Home Alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my sister started laughing at that, but then her laughter quickly turned to crying when my mom and dad were yelling at me for making fun of a death. They rescinded the punishment when we got home, but still, it was completely inappropriate for me. I was practically middle school schnick at that point. It was completely inappropriate for him to do that. Then we get to Surf's Up, notably the only good movie from Sony Pictures Animation, unless you count Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. It's notably the only movie I could not finish the screening due to a technical error in the theater. When we were watching the movie, it was during a massive heat wave, and from what I heard from staff members, basically the projector gave out.
What?
Stress.
It gave out? Wow.
It gave out. Like, legit, we were watching a scene towards the end of the movie, and then the screen gradually turned to white as the audio cut out, and it just stopped. The project, and then eventually the lights turned on. We were just sitting around wondering what was going on. Eventually, the manager came in and offered us refund tickets.
Wow.
I don't remember what I used the tickets on, but it was probably the Simpsons movie.
Wow.
Oh, speaking of the Simpsons movie, off topic. When I saw the Simpsons movie in theaters, my mom told me I was forbidden from getting it on DVD because she didn't want my sister seeing it.
It's kind of like in the Simpsons thing where Bart was forbidden to watch the Itchy and Scratchy movie.
Yeah, and when he was also forbidden to buy the Bone Storm game, was it? And then he tried stealing it. But yeah, that little restriction didn't last long because for Christmas, family friends gave us a portable DVD player with a few accompanying movies. Guess which one was included?
The Simpsons.
The Simpsons, alongside Transformers, the King Kong remake, the 2005 one that was, and Jurassic Park. Yeah. Then there was one other movie I saw called Mr. Megorium's Wonder Emporium, which was basically about a magic toy store. Another movie I didn't like as a kid, simply because it had barely anything to do with the magic toy store. You barely got to see the inside of it. And then, the last movie I saw in 2007 was a movie called The Water Horse Legend of the Deep, which is like a bit of a science fiction movie. I think it had to do with the Loch Ness Monster legend. Maybe. But there's one thing that's notable about this movie. It was the last one I saw with my gram.
Wow.
And there would be points where we would think about going to a movie with each other, like when Skyfall came out. I was thinking about taking her to that because she loved James Bond, but then she decided against it every time. There would be a few summers where she'd be working upstate at the pool, and she would ask, oh, is there a movie you'd want to see? Unfortunately, nothing was ever playing that I knew she would like. And then eventually she died, well, in 2016. 1 week before she was finally going to make her grand return to the movie theater to see My Big Fat Greek Wedding 2 with my mom and my sister. So, yeah, that happened. And then 2008 was a pretty inactive year for movies. I saw things like The Spiderwick Chronicles, Chronicles of Narnia, Prince Caspian, Kung Fu Panda, WALL-E, and Bolt. Oh yeah, this one was a frustrating year, actually, but probably because I didn't see much shit. But, notably, when I went to go see WALL-E, I remembered that The Dark Knight was playing at the time. I never saw The Dark Knight, but they kept going, 2 friends of mine that were going with me to see WALL-E kept going on and on about how in The Dark Knight the Joker was so scary. Ooh, he's so violent. They actually peeked into a screening of The Dark Knight before we went to go see WALL-E, and then they came running back out of the theater yelling when, according to them, the Joker came on the screen. And when I later saw The Dark Knight, I was like, what was the fuss about? Wasn't that scary? He was threatening, but not scary.
Oh.
And then we get to 2009, another inactive year. It should be noted that by 2009, I became aware of review sites like Metacritic and Rotten Tomatoes. And when I was still going to see the same stupid movies, I actually went into them knowing how bad they were. Like, there was one movie called Old Dog starring Robin Williams and John Travolta that was really bad. I saw it had a 5% score on Rotten Tomatoes. And my dad's like, oh, we're going to see Old Dogs. I'm like, just so you know, Dad, this movie's bad.
Wow.
And then eventually a woman came into the theater and she described how someone related to her was an extra in the movie. And my dad's like, oh yeah, my son tells me this movie's not very good. And she's like, oh, I don't know. I just know that so-and-so was an extra in this movie. I'm here to see him. Then we get to 2010. I saw barely anything, but at least it was a good year. I actually saw the Toy Story 1 and 2 double feature that was made to build up hype for Toy Story 3. And notably, I saw the live-action Alice in Wonderland in my first ever IMAX screening, which was also one of my last. Then 2011. There were 3 bad movies I went to go see in 2011 knowingly, and there were various reasons for it. I saw Big Mama's House 3 because my sister wanted to see it since she actually liked Big Mama's House 2. And my dad actually walked out of it hating it. I just claimed it was okay just to save face with my sister, but wasn't very good. Then Cars 2, the first ever Pixar movie to get a negative rating. I went to go see it only out of my obligation to see every Pixar movie in theaters that I was able to see, by the way. Didn't matter because when Brave came out the following year, didn't see it, didn't see Monsters University. I did return to see Inside Out, but then didn't see The Good Dinosaur. And then I ended up going to see Finding Dory. And, I don't know. And then we get to Alvin and the Chipmunks number 3. My God.
I saw the original Alvin and the Chipmunks movie in the 80s.
I bet it was actually good. I had to sit through the live action shit. The first one, I was stupid middle school schnick, didn't know any better. Second one, I knew how bad it was, but my mom told me I had to go see it. Number 3 was probably one of the most miserable days I ever had. Because, let me tell the story. I had to go see Alvin number 3 because my ma dragged me to it. And here's what happened. We had to travel all the way to New York just to see it with some family friends. As we were pulling into the parking lot, I found out from my ma that some friends of mine had invited us over for a New Year's party, but my dad had declined the invitation because he invited his own friends over to our house for New Year's Eve. And I was pretty upset about that, finding out about that before I had to go see a really shitty movie. And then, right after the screening, I had to spend the whole day sitting in the car while my ma ran errands for my uncle.
Oh, no.
There was legit one moment where my uncle needed to get some chili. And we had to drive almost home to get that stupid chili, and then we had to drive all the way back to his house, even though we were so close to home. And then after we were finally done running those errands for him, my ma had to take me straight to a dentist appointment.
Oh my
I
God.
was not home until like 8 o'clock that night, after having had to get up at like 9 in the morning. Maybe even 8 in the morning. So yeah, that shitty movie definitely was not worth it.
Wow.
Then we get to 2012, and this is where things get interesting, because this is notably the only quote-unquote bad experience I had, though admittedly I had a lot of fun. But, anyways, I wanted to see the original Hunger Games. But my sister told me no. She wanted to go see the Three Stooges. So I missed out on Hunger Games for the Three Stooges. What?
The only Three Stooges movie I ever saw was the one where they went back in time to meet Hercules.
The one back in time to meet Hercules? What?
Yeah, the Three Stooges movie where they met Hercules.
Oh, well, this was like a live-action reboot. A lot of people didn't like it too much, and that's why I'm bringing it up, that I had to miss out on Hunger Games for Three Stooges. But then, here's the thing. I went to go see the 3D re-release of Titanic. There's a specific reason why I went, though. It's because the reason why the 3D re-release was made was because it was the 100th anniversary of the actual sinking. And I thought, you know what, be respectful, go see the movie. Here's the thing, though. Nearly the entire audience happened to consist of kids from my high school. They were completely disruptive. They kept talking throughout the movie. There were points where they were clearly on their phones. It got to the point where several theater staff members came in and threatened to throw people out.
Oh my God.
And then the ultimate finale came at the end. Like, you know the final scene where you see the old Rose in bed, and then you go zooming into the ship at the end, and you see all the people who died on the ship? As soon as that scene began, someone lifted their phone up in the air, and it let off a huge flash. It was almost like a flashbang grenade was thrown.
What the hell?
The theater broke out into a riot.
Oh my God.
Everyone started yelling. There were kids getting up, threatening to fight each other.
Really? Kids?
Yeah. Yeah.
What?
There were kids threatening to fight each other. I think popcorn was being thrown.
Oh my God.
I swear to God, I know that most people would find that to be an annoying experience, but honestly, it was just a lot of fun, because I had never experienced anything like that before, and I was at the theater by myself. My dad and my sister weren't with me, because it was actually around this point where the classic trio of us three began to cease. We've only reunited to go, because now my sister doesn't typically go to the movies anymore unless it's with her friends. Though we've reunited on a few occasions. But yeah, that was Titanic 3D for me. And then, let's see, I actually saw Lincoln at the end of the year as part of a class trip. And then we get to Pitch Perfect. I saw the original Pitch Perfect in theaters. Here's the thing. When I saw Pitch Perfect, the hurricane, the superstorm had hit. Like the big hurricane that hit Northeast. The power was out on my street, and I was taking refuge at my friend Jason's. And we decided to go out for a night. So we went to the mall first, and then we ended up going to see Pitch Perfect because my sister wanted to see it. Here's the thing. When I realized that Pitch Perfect was basically a chick flick, I threatened to walk out.
Oh my.
Because I'm admittedly not the biggest fan of movies that are like nothing but squeeing girls and whatnot. Thankfully, Pitch Perfect was not one of those movies. It was just your good old comedy. And thankfully, it was the opening scene where the a cappella group is singing that convinced me to stay. Because as they're singing, abruptly the lead singer vomits. Like, literally, she's like, la, 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 ah! And it happened so out of nowhere that I just burst out laughing, and I was convinced to stay. And I stayed. So there you go. Then we get to 2013. It was the year I turned 17, and is also... What?
I think that might have been the year I met you, looking at you the year before.
No, you met me at the end of, like, 2011, beginning of 2012. Though we weren't actively collaborating until, like, early 2013, so you're correct. So, the first R-rated movie I ever saw in theaters was a movie called The Call, which I thought was great until the ending. Legit, I hated the ending, but the rest of the movie I thought was amazing. So, yeah. I remember getting into the theater, like, we were in Florida, I was with Jason and his sister. And me getting in the theater was no problem, I just showed them my ID. We were actually in downtown Disney, by the way. My sister, on the other hand, they asked for her ID. My sister thought she could get in by just letting her in with my ID. No, they wanted her ID. So, confused, she pulled out her school ID, which didn't have a birthday. And the ticket booth operator's like, you have one with a birthday? She says, no. He sits there contemplating for a minute, and then he prints the ticket and gives it to her. Yeah. Then, notably, a movie called Now You See Me, which was like a movie with like magician thieves. It was the first movie I had seen with a group of friends from high school outside of the class trip for Lincoln. It was a milestone for me. I had never gone out to do anything with kids from school. So, to do that, it was amazing. And, also interesting, well, not really, there were two movies I was about to see in theaters, which were The Wolverine and The World's End. The Wolverine I didn't see because my high school friends wanted to see Red 2, which was with Bruce Willis. It was an action movie. Then with The World's End, I went on a GameStop shopping spree. I bought like 12 games that day.
Wow.
And, the amount of time it took for me to get out of GameStop, we missed the screening for The World's End. So we went to go see This Is the End instead, which had just reopened. And we were planning on seeing The World's End next week. Too bad it was practically gone for theaters for who knows what reason. So we had to settle on Riddick instead. Then we get to 2014. I saw Frozen this year. The only reason I did was because I wanted to see the Lego movie, and my sister wouldn't go with me unless I saw Frozen with her. Then, for some odd reason, despite the fact I turned 18 that year, my ma had enforced a rule where I could not go to the movies by myself. I had to either go with my high school friends or my dad. And I wanted to see X-Men Days of Future Past, but my sister would only go with me to see a movie called A Million Ways to Die in the West, which I heard sucked.
That movie sucked?
I heard it sucked.
Huh.
So here's what happened. My sister managed to convince a friend of hers to go see Million Ways to Die in the West with her. The thing is, that movie was rated R, and she was underage, so I did a little clever tactic. Me and my sister bought the Million Ways to Die in the West tickets, and her friend bought my X-Men ticket, and we just simply swapped when we got to the concession stand. So there you go. Even then, my theater doesn't check me for R ratings anymore. Maybe it's because I look old. And ultimately, How to Train Your Dragon 2 became the final movie I saw with my high school friends.
Wow.
Because they went off one of them went off to college in New Hampshire, and he came back a few summers afterward, but we didn't have time to go do anything. But notably, I wanted to see The Purge: Anarchy, since I heard it was actually much better than the first Purge. But I couldn't go, because my dad insisted on coming with me, and he doesn't like horror movies. This ended up becoming a recurring problem for the rest of the year, because he kept insisting on coming to movies with me that I knew he wasn't going to like. He wanted to see Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1, which I knew he wasn't going to like because he hadn't seen the first two, and he was going to be lost in the story. He also did not want to see... well, I just knew he wasn't going to like some of the movies. Two other movies he walked out hating that I liked were Fury and 22 Jump Street. My sister got mad at my dad for hating 22 Jump Street. But then that rule that required me to be with someone when I went to the movies ended in 2015 when Kingsman: The Secret Service became the final movie of that era. When I went to go see Furious 7, my mom was surprisingly accepting of me going on my own, and truth is, unless my dad explicitly asked, from that point on, I typically just went to movies on my own. Then let's see. Oh, this story. So I've talked about my summer job concern of 2015, right?
Uh-huh.
Well, when I went to go see Inside Out, when I heard it was Pixar's return to form, I got a call from Stop & Shop. They wanted to interview me. Too bad my available times didn't fit within their schedule, and they insisted they would call me back. I ended up panicking. Because somehow deep down, I knew they weren't going to call back, and sure enough, they didn't. And I was frantically trying to call my dad to figure out what to do, and I guess I was talking so loud that when I came into I had stepped out of the theater, obviously, but when I walked back in, there was one woman that actually told me to keep my voice down.
Wait, where were you in this situation?
I walked outside the theater and I was walking around the hallway, but when I walked back to the theater, apparently I was talking loud enough to be heard.
Oh, well.
Even though I don't remember yelling, though I probably was, because, like I said, I was panicking. Then, one movie I missed out on was The Man from U.N.C.L.E. I had to go see The Visit instead because of scheduling times. Because if I went to go see The Man from U.N.C.L.E., I was going to have no time to visit GameStop, because I wanted to visit GameStop. And it's a good thing I did, because I got the rare 20th anniversary PS4 controller out of it.
Well,
I have it right here, in fact. Ta-da! Look at that full-color PlayStation logo.
Wow.
Oh, this story is pretty interesting. So I went to go see a movie called Black Mass, which was considered a return to form for Johnny Depp. And here's the thing, after the movie ended, I went to get my phone out to call my ma to pick me up. My phone was dead. It was at 40% battery halfway through the movie. Somehow the battery just gave out, and it was dead.
well,
And knowing the social anxiety I had with people I don't know, as I described in our bullying podcast last week, I was quite of the faint of heart, asking a stranger for a phone, so I didn't even bother. I just walked home. I saw no other alternative. And in addition, 2015 has 2 records. One, it's the one year where every single movie I saw that year had a fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes. No rotten ratings at all.
What does that mean, fresh rating?
It has to have at least a 60%. Basically, fresh rating means it's good, rotten means it's bad. And then, also, 2015 was the one year where I saw at least one movie with each of the MPAA ratings. The G-rated movie I saw was the Peanuts movie, PG was Inside Out, and then there was an assortment of PG-13 and R. And then, notably, towards the end of the year, I went to go see a Christmas movie called The Night Before with my dad. I had gotten a lack of sleep beforehand. I ended up almost falling asleep at the end, I'll be honest.
oh,
Then we get to 2016, the year where I've seen the most movies, period. Like 33 of them.
33?
Probably. I ended up seeing Batman vs. Superman. I mean, I wasn't planning to because of its bad reviews, but after my gram died, my dad really wanted to go to a movie with me, so I took him to Batman vs. Superman because it was literally the only thing playing at the time. Then we get to a movie called The Nice Guys, which was actually really good, but it has one unique distinction. It's the only movie to date where I went inside the theater and I was literally on my own. No one came with me to the movie, and no one else showed up. I legit had the theater to myself.
That's one of the reasons I used to go to the theater by myself when school was in, like in the afternoon. That way, nobody was there. Everybody's either in school or at work, so I just went there, the theater by myself mostly.
Well, here's the strange thing. I went like mid-afternoon, like when, and not to mention this was like during the. Then again, it was in May, and then again the movie's rated R, so I don't know why no one went to see it. Then I missed out on getting to see The Purge election year because I had no time. I was in Florida helping my cousin. Then I also got to see Don't Breathe, which was a horror movie that got surprisingly good reviews. Unfortunately, it happened to be a day where my dad was begging to go to the movies with me. And my belief that he doesn't like horror movies was backed up when he flatly denied wanting to see Don't Breathe. He wanted to see War Dogs instead, but I had already seen War Dogs, so he reluctantly to go see War Dogs by himself, and I saw Don't Breathe.
Oh no.
So, but that worked out just fine. Then there was a movie called Hell or High Water that me and my dad saw. It's probably the one movie I went into completely blind. I never had seen commercials for it. I didn't even know it existed. We went to my retro game store for I wanted to do a little shopping. And my dad's like, "Oh, is there a movie playing?" I look up and I see Rotten Tomatoes' featured movie is Hell or High Water, and I see it's playing in my local theater. So I'm like, "Hey, let's try this." No regrets. It was awesome. Then I ended up going to see Jason Bourne and Doctor Strange twice, because my dad took me to see the movie first, both of them, and then later on, my friend Dominic invited me to go see them, and just to see a movie with him, I accepted. I had to pay for a ticket for both movies twice. Then let's see. Then remember how I said Talladega Nights and How to Eat Fried Worms were two movies I saw in a single day? Yeah. Well, that occasion was repeated twice, except this time I actually saw both movies in their entirety. The first time happened when I went to go see The Shallows, like a shark movie, with my friend Dominic and my sister. Then, during the previews for The Shallows, we saw a commercial for a movie called Nerve, which is like a movie about like the ultimate dare contest that happens on social media. He wanted to see that later in the day, and he invited me. The thing is, my mom wouldn't let me, so I had to lie and said I was just simply going over to his house.
Wow.
And then the second occasion happened towards the end of the year when I went to go see two movies, Nocturnal Animals and Allied. I basically saw them back to back. I went to the mall that's near my school, and I went to Nocturnal Animals first, and legit after that movie ended, I just went to go refill my popcorn and soda, and then I walked straight to the Allied screening. I don't think I've ever done anything like that before, and I don't know if I'll be able to repeat it. Part of the reason why I did that is because both movies were rated R, and 2016 was the first year where the R-rated movies I saw outnumbered the PG I saw. And yeah, the last notes I have are for this year. I ended up going to see Beauty and the Beast, the live-action version, this year.
I want to see that.
Said my mod dragged me to the Alvin 3 screening.
Yeah.
Beauty and the Beast live-action was the first time I saw a movie with her since then. It was like 6 years.
It's funny about that. I actually wanted to see that movie, Beauty and the Beast live-action, not because of anything, really, because I thought Emma Watson was hot. I wanted to see her.
Wow. Well, I had to go see it because my mom really wanted me to go with her, and my dad. So.
But I didn't want to see it when it first came out in the 80s because that was a girl. Because that was like
in the 90s, not 91.
90s, 80, 89. I forget, whatever. It was a girl. At the time, that's a girl movie. I want to see a girl. I want to see a girl movie.
Yeah. Well, I saw it. Meanwhile, I actually saw a surprising amount of horror movies this year, including Split, Get Out, The Belko Experiment, Life, and Alien Covenant. The thing is, though, my ma still does not like me seeing horror movies, so for a couple of, when I had to go see these movies, a few times I got lucky. Because Split, The Belko Experiment, and Life, I just simply went to the theater when no one was home. Like they were visiting my sister or something. And on the other hand, Get Out and Alien Covenant, I had to lie. When I asked to go to the theater, my mom would ask what I was seeing. In the case of Get Out, I claimed I was seeing the Lego Batman movie, to which she kind of laughed. And then, for Alien Covenant, I claimed I was seeing a movie called The Wall. That was a really difficult time because The Wall was not even playing in my theater. Like, it was like a made-for-Amazon movie that happened to get trailers in theaters, and it was playing. Actually, it was playing in my theater, but like late night. And there were no other suitable targets for movies playing at the time. I mean, well, there was Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, but I had already seen that. And she knew that, so, yeah. And that's most of the tidbits of information I have about my movie-going experiences. Movies I might see later this year include Kingsman: The Golden Circle, Thor: Ragnarok, Star Wars Episode 8, Blade Runner 2049, maybe It, the Stephen King movie with the clown. I don't know. I was also thinking about Justice League, but I'm having second thoughts after the reshoots claim that the current cut of the movie sucks. But yeah, I ranted for a while. Does anyone else have any curious movie-going experiences?
Really, not really. Mine aren't that long. One, I only have two really one. Really have two.
Bafflingly sorry.
Of course. He's waiting. Well, he's waiting to get back. What about you, Mario? Do you have any movie experiences?
The only one I can think of is, so I was watching Rogue One, and there was people behind me, and I guess they had a kid or something, and they kept saying stupid shit, probably to keep the kid's attention or something. They would say shit like, "Oh, look, it's C-3PO," and it was like, do you not understand what you do in a movie theater? Because I can tell you right now, one of the biggest rules in a movie theater is when you're watching a movie, shut the fuck up. I mean, seriously, it was so fucking annoying. Like, oh, there's C-3PO, there's R2-D2, oh, nah, shut up. I want to fucking enjoy the movie, not hear your goddamn bullshit.
Let's see. Well, one experience I had, I think I mentioned this before, was me and my people at my church went to see The Passion of the Christ when it came out. And I looked down a few rows below us, and there's a couple, I guess, parents who brought their toddler-age kid to see the Passion of the Christ. He must be in kindergarten, preschool or kindergarten age. They took him to see the Passion of the Christ. I'm like, what the fuck? I say out loud. I'm like thinking, what the fuck?
Actually, I remember when I went to go see Skyfall, someone brought a baby into the screening.
Wow.
And it wouldn't stop crying, so eventually halfway through they finally took it out.
Even a baby is better than a toddler, because babies can't watch the thing. But a kindergartner could watch the guy get beaten up and bled to death.
Here's my question. Why do they fucking have to bring their baby into the theater?
Probably because they couldn't get a babysitter or something.
Like, we want to see this movie now. We can't reschedule the movie. We can't buy other tickets. So we gotta let's go.
Sorry, you two, but the baby is not old enough for this G-rating movie.
The other experience, it's not really a movie experience. It's what happens after. I mentioned in the cheaper theater. Me and my one friend went to see in the mid-90s saw a lot of movies. Like we saw Beethoven 2 and Three Musketeers and all these other movies. We hung out a lot. Funny story is that kid that I went to see movies with a lot, hung out with, is the same kid who started the rumor about me a year or two later in that bully video we made last week.
Wow. Mario, did you have any stories?
Yeah, while you were gone, basically all I said was that there was like one occasion where these people behind me were saying stupid shit while we were watching Rogue One. They must have had a kid or something, because they were constantly saying stupid things like, oh look, it's E34, oh look, it's R2-D2, no. It's like, dude, shut up. You're not supposed to talk in a fucking movie. That's like one of the things that you should not do. It's kind of obvious. And I felt like that they were trying to keep the kids' attention or something, but like, seriously?
I remembered when I went to go see Avengers Age of Ultron, I was fine sitting down until this tall basketball player looking kid came in with his buddies, and the basketball player kid sat right in front of me. His head blocked the entire screen.
Luckily for me, not the cheap theater, but the motion theater, that they're in layer. They have like layers and stuff, like roll
layers.
Like steps.
Somebody said layers.
So even the tall guy just in front of me at that theater, he's like a foot, like a step or two down from me. So it doesn't really matter if he's taller than me or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I remembered I actually had to lean over awkwardly like this. Like, lean over like this, just so I could see the screen. And the thing is, it looks like the basketball player knew nothing about the Avengers, because he frequently kept leaning over to his buddy, asking... And I never heard what they were saying, but from what I can tell, he was asking for explanations on characters and whatnot, and the buddy kept having to explain it to him.
Oh, wow.
So anytime he leaned over, I would not be able to see.
Like,
I remember at one point, he decided to lean back in his chair like this. His arms blocked the entire screen.
so yelled,
No matter where I looked, he was blocking everywhere.
So yelled,
and it was a pretty packed theater, so I couldn't just change the seats.
Like, duck down, move your fucking arms.
Thankfully, like a minute later, he put them down, and never did it again. But yeah,
you were probably so pissed off at that shit.
I was pissed off, but I couldn't say anything. Obviously, I didn't want to get thrown out.
No, you should have. No, you want to know what would be funny? If you would just got up and you whispered in his ear, "Oh, sorry, I gotta open this window," and moves his arm, or tries to move his arm outwards.
At least you didn't go in the video game snick mode at the guy.
You mean the Snicklish? You mean the Snicklish?
Yeah. I swear to God, any form of Snicklish would have got me thrown out.
Well, with that, I think it's been almost 2 hours. We should probably wrap it up. Any closing statements?
Schnick talked for like 40 minutes straight, so if I ever had to transcribe this, there will be the hugest fucking wall of text for anybody in probably all the podcast episodes ever. So yeah, and that will be a fucking bitch to do. Like,
but hey, it will get you a lot of money.
Oh my god.
What about you, Snick? Any closing statements?
Not really. It's just that I like movie-going experiences, and all I can say is if ticket prices start rising like big time, like if they're $20 like in the near future, that's probably the time I would call quits and just wait for Blu-ray.
$20 tickets?
What?
$20 tickets?
Well, right now they're 10.
If they were 20, nobody would fucking be going to the theaters no more.
Actually, yeah, that is true. If they were 20, no one would be going to the theaters. well, very few would be going to the theaters. But truth is, many Blu-rays nowadays you can often get for $20. So yeah. If that were to happen, I would just simply wait for Blu-ray.
I mean, honestly, the movie theater already makes most of their money through the food and drinks anyways, so, I mean, I don't see a reason why the industry would have to raise ticket prices for it.
Normally, anytime I go to the theater, I spend about $20. It's like $10 for the ticket, and then about $10 for the popcorn and soda.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna keep doing it.
So remember, guys, if you're bored, go see a movie. It's something to do, at least until our kids' technology makes it irrelevant.
Or wait,
see theaters.
Or hear me out. Play the podcast on your biggest screen, or better yet, find a movie theater that allow you to rent one of the rooms and just screen the podcast on that big screen. Holy shit.
And with that, enjoy the randomness. See ya!
Bye-bye.
Bye.